Steve's ready. Rex is ready. Let's do it. Steve, you think you can get out the door before Rex? It's almost impossible. It'll run you over. Good try, though. Good try. All right, so answer for Peter Will on the rain gauge situation. I'm going to leave the tube inside now. That's what Brian recommended. And the inner tube and the outer tube went back out. 19 degrees, 7:30, January 18th. Tried to get up with the sun today because it's so pretty and it's not too windy. I'm wearing gloves, so there'll be no zooming of the camera because you have to do that with your fingers. And so we'll just enjoy this beautiful, crunchy snow. Coldest morning so far. Second one in a row. Like I said yesterday, most of them have been around Thursday or so. Boston just under 18 last time I looked. Second morning in a row below 20 degrees. And that only happened twice all last winter. Not since February 25th have we had a morning that was below 20 and an afternoon that was below 30. Yesterday, the high temperature was only about 27. So this is the coldest so far. Steve, where you going? You can't go back in. You know that, right? He loves the belly rub. He loves it. I think he just loves the texture of the ground, the cold. He's a Maine Coon. Ice bucket, totally solid. Challenging this bucket not to break with the ice. Sacrificial bucket if it does go, but you can see that, you know, H2O expands when it turns into a solid, so that's why your bucket is rocking like that. There goes Steve. Where are you going? Over to the birds. You're not going to run away on me, right? Is there any seed in the feeder? Yesterday the seed was frozen in there, so the birds are not impacted by the cold, I don't think. I don't know how they do it, those little things. They keep flying around. It's really not that cold. This morning, Summit of Mount Washington, up from just below 10 below last night. So Summit of Mount Washington, yesterday the high temperature did not make 0. So this is the coldest air mass of the season. But for us in New England, it's not that extreme compared to what's happening in other parts of the nation. Where should we start? In the northwestern United States, just a crippling ice storm. Tyler Cans, hope I got your name right, a meteorologist in Portland, Oregon at the Weather Service, made this video yesterday. He says, pray for Oregon. Just about every tree is damaged and back-to-back freezing rainstorms. So it's not just an isolated wintry outbreak. The National Weather Service in La Crosse, Wisconsin, put together a mosaic of the national advisories, watches, and warnings, and the sequence over the last week. You can watch the wind chill advisories in the gray and the blue, and the blizzard warnings in the red, and then those purple things in New England were the squall warnings that came through here on Sunday. And you see in New England also the green. That was a flood watch for the Saturday storm, and then winter storm weather advisories for our Tuesday storm, one after another. Now, the center of the cold high-pressure system is pushing off the southeastern United States. That is the coldest high that we've had in about 40 years. Remember, we showed Montana about 5 days ago when that cold arrived, and it was an average of 25 below 0 near Great Falls, and they said that was the coldest in 40 years. So we're going to call this the coldest high-pressure system in 40 years. Steve wants to go in. I don't think so. And that cold high is moving offshore. So the air is actually coming from the southwest here in New England today. So we're getting cold air advection from the southwest. That is very unusual. That's what happens in a blocking pattern. Our storm from 2 days ago that dropped all the snow and ice is now up over Labrador, strengthening to hurricane force. And to its west is a very weak system. That is our last Saturday storm that went up and took a left. Talk about blocking. Anyhow, all this blocking is going to work to deflect our Friday storm off to the south. Now, it looks like we will get snow, especially in southern New England, coming in a little bit this afternoon and then tomorrow. Look at those watches, warnings, and advisories again. You can see the winter storm in Montana, and then it kind of dwindles into a winter weather advisory and then kind of fades away in Ohio and Pennsylvania. So it's borderline advisory material here in the Northeast. You can see the little bird. There's a tanker incoming. I'd love to zoom in for you, but I can't because I got my gloves on. As for what's going on locally, this is the 15th day in a row with snow in New England. Jay Peak, it looked like a blizzard on the cams last night. So I texted Sean Vecchione. I said, how much you get last night? He goes, it looks pretty good, about 4 inches of snow. Sean going out the door for weather and more, and he's silent. But I appreciate it, Sean. This morning, about 4 inches new at Jay Peak. So it is just powder on top of powder. Yesterday, got a shout out from Chuck Nolan, live at 5. He knows I watch every day, and he talked about that tweet I did from Sugarbush yesterday. It said 54 inches of snow so far in January, the best skiing you can get. And it's not too windy today. How do you like that? And although it is going to get colder, it's not windy for now, but that's going to change. All right, let's put these maps into motion. First, let's go to the high-resolution NAM, which works pretty much just the same as the RGEM, the high-res NAM. One's a Canadian, one's the American. NAM, the blue is snow. You get some scattered snows coming at us for today and tonight. And then tomorrow, you see that shield of snow. It's pretty widespread, but it's fairly light. So a very fine, almost misty snow is probably in the air during the day tomorrow for much of southern New England. And then there will be enhancement from Long Island to Cape Cod and the islands with the ocean impact. And especially, I think, near the Cape Cod Canal. That's kind of a wild card for tomorrow. I'd say south of Boston. And sometimes these things set up as close as here in Weymouth. When the wind comes in from the north and northeast, very cold air over the relatively warm water. We are definitely going to have ocean effect bands, but that is impossible to predict where. Often they set up very close to Sandwich, so maybe you, Charlie, and Mashpee, you might get one of those bands. And wherever there's one of those bands, it's going to last into tomorrow night. You're going to have an extra 3 to 6 as opposed to a widespread 1 to 2. So there's the snowfall accumulation. And it looks like it's a little further south than yesterday, which makes sense with this blocking pattern. That storm that went by 2 days ago up to our north is kind of shifting this one off to the south. So want to widen it out now and go to the really, really big picture. Why don't we do this? Because there's a change in the weather pattern happening. We're going to warm up coast to coast next week. So there's our huge storm there in the upper right, and that thing is kind of sitting there and spinning. And then goes the storm off to our south. Not really a storm, but it's going to really deepen as it goes east of us Friday night and Saturday. Now we have kind of a wayward polar vortex, and all those black lines, that's wind on Saturday and Sunday. It is windy, and we are going to be the coldest part of the nation this weekend here in New England, with temperatures mostly hanging out in the teens and low temperatures in the single numbers. Should be able to manage some ice down here by then. Time out. Rex, what is it? Little ice on the rocks there. I was surprised there was no ice on the Charles River this morning. The air from the southwest, I think, just moving it around too much. Plus, we've been averaging plus 4 degrees per day, 4 degrees higher than the climatological average per day so far this month in Boston, even though we have had the climatologically average amount of snow. Look at the two crows playing there. Is that what Rex is barking at? I've thought, birds are really squawking. There must be a hawk around here or something. All right, where was I? Okay, let's go resume that map, the really big picture map for next week. Now watch the Gulf of Mexico. There's storms off the Pacific Ocean that are going to split, and some of those are going to go north, and the other parts are going to go south. And then we're going to have two systems coming out of the Gulf of Mexico. There's one Tuesday running north with a mixture of rain and snow for us, with high pressure coming at us from the north and low pressure from the south. That's going to be very interesting Tuesday. And then that goes off, and then another one. This is a higher stakes one Thursday and Friday. We have a very strong cold high coming at us from southeastern Canada and a Gulf of Mexico source region wet weather event coming at us from the south. Put that together, Tim. How about a little rewind? In other words, there's a low pressure system coming at us from the Gulf of Mexico, and there's a high pressure system coming at us from northern Canada, and they're going to crash right over New England next Thursday, Friday. We may actually have something like rain changing to snow in the Boston area next Thursday with a potential ice storm. That's fascinating, as we always say about the weather here in New England. It comes at us from every angle. And I guess while I have you, I'll share what Brian shared there in Alaska yesterday. He says the temperature in Bettles, Alaska is headed for 50 below zero next week. So Alaska is reloading with cold, and then you can start the clock on about 10 days after that. Whenever that cold releases, the next cold blast comes down across most of the United States, but that's more like 2 weeks away. In the meantime, we will have these little not little, actually major backdoor cold front potentials here in New England next week. I probably should do a snow cast. Blue Hill finally open for skiing this week. The cam isn't working, so I can't show you Blue Hill. I know there was a lot more I wanted to talk about. I'm gonna take my gloves off. Take my gloves off now, and I want to just see if I can't zoom out there because there's some pretty scenes there at Hull. There's one of the ferries who just cut in front of the tanker. So this tanker's coming through here, just came through the Hull gut. I really enjoy watching the maritime influence. There's Boston, so thickening clouds, snow sky today. Look for a halo, ring around the sun or moon, rain or snow soon. Where's Steve? We can follow the line to find Steve. All right, we're going inside, guys. So this may be the coldest stretch of the winter. We'll see. Remember what happened last year on February 4th? And the low temperature was 10 below, and the high that day was something like 18. Nothing like that in the near forecast. No, you're tied up, Steve. Go in the door over here. All right, yesterday, kind of walking around, looking at the weather, saw the sunset, maybe a little bit of skiing too from Josh Worth in the trees yesterday. All right, Steve, we're going inside. Oh yeah, and the skating rink over here. This is pure ice right here, and there's the rain gauge. I'm going to leave it like this, Peter. I'm just going to leave it with the wide tube, and the snow can go in there, and then you just pour that into your tube when you bring it, a smaller tube with the numbers on it when you go inside to measure it. Let it defrost inside. All right, Rex, ready? Let's go. Let's go inside. And more. Never seen them so eager to go inside. Yeah, me too. All right, let's go. See what happens after this. When the weather slows down, I'll show you what they do after we go in. It's pretty fun. They run around, chase each other. All right. We just got done with the out the door shooting. Now it's editing time. A little coffee and watching the tankers go by. Tanker. MTM St. Jean. 20 degrees outside. Thanks for the fuel. Gonna need it this weekend. Life raft on this one is on the side. And the last one, it was hanging off the back there. And of course the tugboat, Independence. Quincy in the background. A little late with the seed for the birds. I don't know whether I do it more for Steve or for the birds. Oh yeah, look at that. You want to go in yet, Steve? It's 11 o'clock. I haven't even finished today's out the door. Be very careful. Here, watch your step. Kind of breezy. Oh, yesterday's seed is in there, but it's all frozen. Good times. Be ice on the rocks tomorrow, I think. All right, Steve, we'll go back in. And something I forgot to show yesterday. This right here. Oh boy. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This bucket's solid. Forgot to show that yesterday too. I don't think we're gonna make 32 today, T-Rex. Maybe not even 30. Coldest day so far. How many times have we said that? Plenty of salt right there. Just gonna drive it into this spot right here. This road has now been plowed twice. Sunday and Tuesday. And we'll be close on Friday. Jury's kind of out on that one. Jury's out on every snowfall accumulation map. Every storm, really. We just guess. Educated guesses. I guess it's going to be kind of cold. Should be interesting. It's about 4:25, and this is where I was 24 hours ago. Thought I was helping by shoveling the sidewalk, but not so sure if that was helpful or not. There's little spaces where it's not icy, and I'm not falling yet, but you can see probably a better grip over here in the snow. And then once you get underneath this tree, the snow didn't really accumulate, so that was okay. Anyhow, today the temperature got to about 27 or 28 degrees, and the low temperature was Today the temperature got to About 28 for a high and a low of 19. So it's the first day this season where the temperature got below 19 for a low and stayed below 30 for a high. Yay. I gotta admit, it's not fun having to put on all these layers to go out for a quick walk, but it's winter in New England and we've gotten off pretty easy in the temperature department. As for these storms though, that's a totally different story. Can you even hear me over the wind? So, I've seen less ice in the parking lots of Vermont before than what we're looking at right here. This is what it looks like after it's been plowed, but because the water is still running down the hill below the surface from record wet late December and January, this is the net result. Play hockey over here on the shelf. The camera won't let me focus. Please, camera. Please. Nope, it won't. There we go. Thank you. Just in time. See the sun going over the houses adjacent to the Four River Bridge. Almost looks like a little snow cloud on the horizon. And I'm not sure how and why, but it snowed really hard at J Peak today. What do you mean you're not sure how and why? It's the J Cloud. I'll leave you with some J Cloud from Josh Worth. Says it was awesome. All right. And more and more and more. Talk to you later.